Well, hello. Welcome to Orchid Bloom's podcast. Welcome back, bloomers. I'm your host with Orchid Bloom's podcast, Orchid Brown. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Orchid Eye Brown. Today's podcast episode will be on women against women. Upon creating this podcast episode, I know that there has been a movement of women empowerment over the years. And we hear the term girls grow a lot. With the new discussion of this, it prompted this podcast episode. Supporting factors that encouraged me to do this podcast episode is also centered around what I have seen in the workplace and outside the workplace, and of course, my years of experience. Are you a girl's girl? Are you truly in support of women empowerment? That is the question. I can honestly say, before writing this podcast episode, I reflected on myself and asked, was I a girl's girl? And I have to say, in some situation, yes, I was. Yes, I was a girl's girl. I'm all about women empowerment because I do not view other women as competition. I am happy when I hear that my friends are doing well or they're succeeding. Even people I don't know, or just met who have told me about their opportunities and rumors swirled because of how they got that opportunities. I have always encouraged them to go forward and get it and just ignore the noise. So I can say that in certain situations, I'm very much a girl's girl and all about women empowerment. I am a judgmental person. And so because I judge myself every day, it has given me enough practice to be able to judge others. If someone or something does not align with my core values and morals, I will judge them. Being human is not something I consider until after a long thought process. Thankfully, because of my overthinking tendencies, I tend to come to a conclusion very quickly. If there is a redeemable quality in a person, I will look past certain things. And that is something that I know about myself. I have given people the benefit of the doubt on many occasions until they do something to harm me in any way or hurt me in any way. And then that flies right out the window. That comes with years of practice and just kind of knowing that once someone shows you who they are, just believe them. I don't care if you're a female or a male. I believe you. And once I believe you, you have to understand that judgment will come upon you. It is physically and mentally exhausting to be around people who are still trying to find themselves, especially those that claim to be someone they're not. And I understand we're in a world where everyone is faking it until they make it. And I have dedicated a podcast episode to this, so you can definitely go back and listen to this podcast episode. But in certain situations, you can fake it till you make it and still be authentic. Now to the topic. I find women are in constant state of competing with each other. This goes back to the beginning of time. In the beginning, men hoarded the resources so that women had to compete with other women for successful men. They were only successful because of their possessions. I'm referring to the men, just their possessions. All the resources that they could hoard or steal from others. How they came to possess it all, no matter how nefarious, did not matter. They had it. And so women would do anything to get it. That include compete with each other, one man. Hierarchy was created to keep wealth within families by not marrying outsiders, which gave those men the ability to have mistresses and side chicks. And in most situations, the mistresses and side chicks were treated much better than the wives. The wives had the babies, got to live in a big house and had social status, but the mistress, well, they got their own place, nice dresses, flowers, jewelry, and money. They may not have had the status, but they had more freedom And if this rich man went away, they would most likely find another one because, again, they're on a particular caliber. So they can just keep recycling those same men, but they get to keep the jewelries, the dresses, and the money. The wives, if they get kicked out of their house, of their family, they are left with nothing. And they get to watch a new woman take their place. Their reputation would be tarnished, and other wives that's within their status would disassociate themselves with them. So really, when wives lose, they lose everything. So they need to make sure that they secure their spot as wife and woman of the home, and make sure that the mistress or anyone else can't come in and take what's theirs. The competition between women has always been a part of history. It is more evident now more than ever due to social media. You see the push of Meghan Markle versus Kate Middleton, Nicki Minaj against every rapper in the industry, every female rapper in the industry. On reality shows, it's women versus women. A woman has to be compared to another woman, but to what end? And I never could understood that. To what end? Is if the person wins, are they better? You played the game. You fought with whoever you needed to fight to. You got down in the mud and you rolled around like pigs. And only one of you survived. But were you the best one? That's the case. That's the question. I've never understood. Most women that I have met who have gone to the depths of this earth to try to win against a bunch of women did not come back as a normal person. And most of the time, the person that they're fighting over, that marriage that they're fighting to get, would crumble and fail because they aren't the same person they were before they got into the competition. They changed. And of course, whoever they were fighting for saw that and realized they were not the best option. So you did all of that to compete with all of these women to be the best, and realize that you can't maintain what you fought for. You are not the same. You can fake it till you make it, but eventually the mask will fall off, and who you are to your core now is what everyone is going to see. And it's very difficult to unsee it. Most times, it's not just about women versus women. It's about skin color, hair color, size, culture, background, history, values, who they are dating or married to. There's so many categories that a woman has to compete in to be able to be the best, to be considered a high-valued woman. The judgment are so deep that even butt sizes and breast sizes has become so important in our society today. How your body looks is also a part of the judgment of if you are better than the other person or not. A lot of people aren't considering that men have different preferences. So if you're competing for a guy, he has different preferences. And yes, men are visual people. So if he's a breast man, he's going to like the woman with the biggest breasts. If he's a butt man, he's going to like a woman with a bigger butt, which is why there's such an increase in plastic surgery nowadays to increase your breast size, because maybe the female is trying to attract men that prefer breasts. And then you see all these women getting their BBLs done because they're trying to attract men that prefer women with a lot of butt. You put yourself in danger trying to be the sexiest, the prettiest, not the most educated, but depending on the type of men that you're pursuing, you have definitely put yourself in harm's way just so you can get a man. Just so you can get a man. It's very weird. It's very weird. I don't understand the importance of men with specific preference. If he doesn't like you, who cares? There's plenty of other men out there. What makes him so special? He's not contributing very much to the world anyways. He's just there. Shit. With social media now, the people who are hoarding a lot of resources and are billionaires, are on top of the world, and they all hang out together, are further away, and it's more difficult for commoners to be able to fight for the position of standing by their side. It doesn't really make any sense to me that women are fighting each other over peanuts. They're not rich. They behave as though they're rich. They drive fancy cars and they spend their paychecks as if they got it, but they don't really have that mindset to build. So again, some of these situations just completely confuse me. It really does. Some guy would say to me, oh, I got $10,000 saved. I'm like, that's cute. What is $10,000 supposed to do for anybody? How is that even, what is that going to do for you? So it's just weird that you see women fighting over a man that has $10,000 or no money at all. Maybe he even has a car. Maybe he just wears nice clothes. But people are still fighting over it. You go on TikTok and you see women who are cheating with this man, and really the only admirable quality about this specific person is who they were with. There was even an argument of women only falling for men because of who they were with. It's so funny. It's really funny, and I laugh because it is very true. I remember talking to a girl once. Oh, yes. It was 2 years ago. And she was telling me about this guy that she's been interested in because she was checking out his social media. You know, social media. You should believe everything you see on social media, right? Right. Anywho, she was checking out this guy on social media. And she was telling me, you know, how successful he is because he owns a business and da-da-da. And he has like this pretty girlfriend. But some people, when they're in a relationship, they tend to be the best version of themselves because of who they are with. I understand that. And so I just saw the person on social media when she showed it to me as just a regular basic dude. And most likely once he's out of that relationship, you're going to see a completely different person. He's not going to be the same person he was before. He's not going to be as attractive as he was when he was in that relationship with someone that really built him up. So she was just obsessed. And then she heard rumors that they were no longer in a relationship together. So she really wanted to be like the next one. And I remember looking at her and saying, so why do you want to be the rebound girl? And she's like, what? They've been broken up for some time now. And I said, well, I don't know about that. Maybe he has cleared off pictures of them on his social media page to seem like he's single, but I still think he's going back and forth. They're on and off. So why do you want to be a rebound girl? And she was just very confused about what I was saying. She was like, no, they're no longer together. I said, okay. So she invited me to his business because it was a restaurant. We went to the restaurant and we sat down and I saw him. And in my mind, I was like, this dude ain't shit, but okay. She's like, but he owns his own business and there's 3 other guys that are partnered with him for this business. I said, yeah, so they can share the responsibility of the debt. But you have to understand by looking at him and seeing the business that he owns and the location that the business is located in, that he's in debt. As much as his social media page looks like he got it, he really doesn't. He really, really doesn't. They all have to do their part to make sure that this business succeeds. So what makes you think that he has it? And she's like, oh, but he's talking about, going to different countries and partnering in oil companies to then build business within that country. And I was like, easier said than done. If he's working full time, 7 days a week, trying to make this business work, how the hell is he going to accomplish that goal? And I'm sitting in the restaurant drinking my drink, confused about the ideas that she was coming up with in her head while not looking at the situation at hand. So I said, okay. So she was sitting there and she was looking cute and she was looking at him and checking him out because she had already hit him up in the DMs just to see how he was, trying to be nice, to basically make sure he knows that she is available and she is here. And of course, a very professional, respectful way without making it seem like she's a slut. I thought it was cute watching this dynamic. And I thought it was funny So I just sat there, drank my drink, and just kind of watched the situation. She eventually got upset towards the end of the night because he wasn't giving her as much attention as she had expected. And I remember just looking at her and going, you do realize that you are at his place of business. And most of his business are women coming in trying to pick him up, or at least try to get with the dude that owns this place. So he cannot mess with his business by specifically focusing on one girl. He has to treat all the girls the exact same way, because the day he slips up in that category, all these women will stop coming. Word of mouth will spread and his business will fail. But she wasn't listening to me because in her mind, she's crack. Guy sniffs and he just doesn't let go. He's willing to jeopardize his business. He's willing to throw away and put himself in debt for a really long time just because she's crack cocaine, right? So I guess she thought too highly of herself. A smart man would never throw away his livelihood to try to pick up this one girl. She even got on the dance floor and started doing her pretty dance, the dance to try to get the attention of guys kind of thing. And she did. She got a bunch of guys coming up to her, giving her attention, trying to dance with her, asking for her number. But he was nowhere to be found. You know why? Because he was not going to jeopardize his business. He made sure to either leave the premises for his break, or is it in the back and only comes out to make sure that all his guests are taken care of, because that is a man that values his business over pussy. Good boy. That made me respect him a little bit more. She was completely, her whole self-esteem was shot because of this, because she's so used to men throwing away everything that they have just to sniff her crack. So it's just odd, these types of situations that I've seen over the years. And I'm trying to understand it a little bit better. So hopefully this podcast episode is going to help me understand this need to chase men who look like they've got it now, compared to back in the day, that you can tell the difference between a man that has it and a man that doesn't. For me, looks isn't everything. You have to have that mindset with you. You gotta have to back that up in some way. You can be a hot dude and every girl wants to get into your pants. They might even want to have your babies. Good for them. But if you're not bringing anything to the table other than your looks and your fancy clothes and your nice car and the fact that you own a business, but you're broke as fuck, but you're going up on social media and showing off like you got it, that will never turn me on. It just won't. And I feel bad that I don't fall into these categories, but I guess I'm one of those women from back in the day. If I had a different life or had another life previous to this one, I was definitely an alpha female, and I only attracted to alpha males. I don't attract to tricks and ponies, and I definitely don't attract to weak men. So maybe that's what's bleeding over into this life, and that is my thought process. I can see a man and tell you if he's weak or not. That's just who I am. I don't waste my time with men that bring nothing to the table. Women are judged harshly by other women. If their relationships do not work, most women have heard this comment made: he left you because you weren't doing enough. It's your fault. Not sometimes relationships or marriages don't work, but it's your fault. You didn't do enough. I remember hearing that comment once from a woman, and her daughter, who I knew, was from the Haitian culture, and her mother kind of grew up in that thought process that you do everything that you must do to make sure that your husband is taken care of, which is very true. But she also believed that you looked past when a man has multiple women running around town, sleeping behind his wife's back and leaving his kids at home and spending his money, taking care of those women. You just remain silent, is what she felt. You remain silent and you just take it. You just focus on taking care of the kids at home, making sure that the home is clean, doing what you have to do, and hopefully your husband will come to his right senses and choose you. Well, the daughter did not believe in that, so she pushed for divorce, and her mother felt that she was ruining the family's reputation by doing so. And listening to all of this, I was just so shocked that the mother had no loyalty to her daughter and protecting her daughter's heart at all. But I understood that in many cultures all over the world, this is the way that they handle it. Suffer for your marriage, and you will be rewarded. As a woman, you are automatically put into a category, mostly by other women. They love to read other women. It gives them purpose to be able to look at a woman and tell somebody exactly who they are. I have no idea why, but I assume it's a part of the judgment. Being able to judge another woman and be able to look at them and say, oh, they're this and they're that, and stick to that category that they have put this person in, gives them some sense of purpose, I guess. I'm unsure. I have been friends with women in the past who put me in a category based on my skin color, and of course, the stigma that comes with being a Black woman. They came from a culture where they were told they were better than women of my skin color. They felt I needed them. Their egos were inflated because they viewed me as lesser than them. How dare I do better, be better, or attract better? It always made me laugh how quickly they become jealous of someone they deemed lesser than them. The amount of smack they said behind my back to feel better about themselves just baffled me. All that makeup, all the praises they received, expensive perfumes that they owned, designer clothes that they went out of their way to buy, back-to-back relationships with the same type of guys, and two-faced friends wasn't enough for them. These are the females that become your friends out of jealousy and envy. They charm you with their charisma and boldness, and once they feel they have won you over, you start to notice nasty and ugly behaviors that you didn't expect based on first impression. They make bitchy comments and attempts to change you or even hurt you. That was their main purpose. They want to see you roll in the mud with them like pigs. The ultimate goal is to take from you by getting under your skin. They want to hurt you and get away with it. By that time, you have already seen them as a friend and now is confused and blame yourself. These are the same girls that will hook up with a man that spends most of his time talking smack about his ex. That makes him feel important, not realizing that he will do the same to you. These are the same girls that will try to steal your man or anyone that you're interested in because deep down they want to be you. I believe I mentioned the story before in previous podcast episode of a girl that I knew that is no longer my friend. And I remembered that there was this bright, shiny female that she happened to have met, and she was the most genuine and kind-hearted person I've ever met. And so I thought she was great, but I was never jealous or envious, and I definitely didn't want to be her. But this friend at the time was going out of her way to try to spend every waking moment of every day with this female. If it wasn't just talking to her, it was being by her side for everything, hanging out with her boyfriend, her kid, offering to babysit, everything. And I never understood why, because she could have easily put that energy into something else, but she didn't. So it confused me. And eventually I asked out loud, why is my friend at the time doing this? What is going on here? Why do I feel like something is wrong with that situation between my friend and this kind-hearted girl that she met, and they are friends? And I remember, going to bed and in the dream that I had, she was trying to force the kind-hearted girl to stay. And when she didn't, she grabbed her by the hands to make her stay with her, by her side. And when that didn't work, the kind-hearted girl, pulled away. And when the kind-hearted girl pulled away, she ripped off her skin from her hands, from her elbows to her fingers, ripped the skin like a glove, like she was ripping off a glove. And then once the girl got away from her, she then proceeded to put the skin gloves on her. And in that moment, I understood that this was an answer to my question, that my friend at the time wanted to be her. She wanted to be in her skin. She even wanted to be inside of her. It was really sick. She was trying to pursue a relationship with this girl, not just on a friendship level, but an intimate level, while she was in a relationship with a man that wanted to be with her forever. And she had a son with another man who was nowhere to be found. She wanted to eliminate this guy from the process so that she could be that man in her life and be with her. And I woke up just shocked the next day, because I thought, what the hell? Who the hell would want to be in a relationship such as that? Number one, I don't even think this girl is bisexual or a lesbian, number one. And I never even knew this girl that was supposedly my friend was bisexual in the first place. So all of it didn't make sense. But at the end of the day, I got an answer to my question of why she's chasing this girl down and trying to be everything and anything for her. She wanted something that she had, and she felt the only way to do that was to be with her, was to be in her life completely, in an intimate and a friendship way. It was psychotic as far as I'm concerned, because that was crazy. That was just crazy. But that's the story that kind of popped into my mind of my own experiences, kind of viewing this as an outsider in a situation like this. But mind you, at that time, the kind girl had not ran away yet. So I guess it was also predicting the future. And I think it was maybe like a few months later, she ended up cutting her off and not wanting to be friends with her. And I went, oh, my dream even told me what was going to happen. It was great, just great. So she ran away from this person because she felt that the way she was behaving and how she wanted to be in all aspects of this girl's life made her uncomfortable. It made her boyfriend, who is her fiance, uncomfortable. And so she had to part ways. She started cutting off the friends who were obsessed with her to the point where they wanted to be in every aspect of her life. If she was off work, they wanted to be there. They wanted to take her home. They wanted to sit down and eat her food. They wanted to spend the whole night. They even wanted to sleep over. It was really sick. And she had two friends like this. One of them confessed to me at some point that she, they were playing a game at, when they had their house parties. And in this game at the house party, she was trying to kind of get her to kiss her. So she won the game, and so the girl had to kiss her. This was the other friend of the kind girl. And so they kissed, and I was like, I don't understand why you were forcing this, because deep down that girl had this spirit of wanting to do the exact same thing that my other friend was doing. So now she didn't just have one girl who was a little bit obsessed about her. She had two. So she got rid of the friend that was obsessed with her and be friends a really long time. She just cut her out of her life completely. And then she needed to work her way into making sure that this girl was gone. She was even trying to pawn her off on me, like, hey, are you going to go hang out with Orchid tonight? She's like, no, Orchid's busy. Yeah, I was busy. I made sure I was. I wanted no part of this. And she was like, I'm all yours. And so now she realized she's going to have to do the exact same thing to this girl. And so she did. She had to let her go too. Completely cut off contact. Made sure she wasn't even in areas that they were in. Tried not to go to parties that they might be going to. It was just weird for her to realize that she was attracting women who didn't want just a friendship with her. They wanted to be mothers to her son. They wanted to be in her bed. They wanted to eat her food wherever she went. They wanted to be there. It was just scary for her. But she handled it well because she had a fiance who started noticing this as well, and he wanted no part of it. And he's like, cut them out. Cut them out and find better friends that are a bit more secure in themselves. And that's exactly what she did. She had the encouragement of someone that loved her and wanted the best for her. Some women grow up battling their sisters and their mothers. It starts with toys, then fighting over attention from their father or mother, depending on if it's a sister battle or a mother battle. Battling with their mother specifically, people would say it's a generational curse, but it is a part of life. As women, we have been conditioned to compete with each other. For years, I have watched women compete, insult other women in the workplace and outside the workplace. They would cozy up to women they want to be and connect with so they could learn their weaknesses and find a way to control them. And if they can't control them, destroy them. I understand the hierarchy. Women only respect women on their own level and the level they perceive themselves to be on. Because again, women has toxic egos too. Not just men, women do too. We are humans and we need to find purpose. To boost ourselves, we need someone to be lower than we are. We flock to a group of people that best represents ourselves. If we identify as a specific character, we will flock to those types of people. They could be bullies, so we flock to them due to the fear of being bullied or because we are bullies ourselves. Let's talk about male identified. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about early in the podcast episode, so I hope you caught it and will be able to connect them. What does that mean? The term male identified women was first employed by the feminist movement. It was used to describe those women whose sense of self was totally circumscribed by masculine standards. What does that look like? It means to value male's perspective and feelings more than another woman. They place men above women and themselves in credibility, status, and everything else. We have met these women that defend men to their own detriment. They will look past their wrongdoings and blame the female always. Some women have grown up in environments such as that where the boy in the family can do no wrong, but the female would be blamed for everything. It is always the mother's fault for her son that makes mistakes. It is the woman's fault she lost a loser. Yes, he's a loser. It's the wife's fault she couldn't keep a cheater. Most of the women that degrade other women are older. I try not to hang around with them, these older women, because they are completely integrated and brainwashed by the masculine standard. It's as if it's the Bible to them. And if you do read the Bible, men are definitely put on a pedestal in the Bible as well, and a woman's job is to serve him. That is your only purpose in this world, is to serve a man and make him look good. Your reputation is based on how great your husband is, not by your own making, but by his. These are the same women that believe you need to suffer in a marriage, be obedient when you are being harmed, and submit to everything to keep a man. Keeping that relationship is your purpose. It is your reputation. You'll be considered an honorable woman due to your suffering. They would run around trying to recruit women to their cause. Little girls growing up seeing the suffering and declared that they would not put up with that in the future. So now we have friction between the old way of thinking and the new way of thinking. Of course, that is considered a feminist movement, but really, it just doesn't make any sense. A lot of these women in the past have gone to their grave unhappy, miserable, beaten, battered, and confused, and completely unhappy. And then there are some that went to their grave happily because their husband died early. So they finally got the peace that they've always wanted. Not saying that all marriages are bad, just saying that there's more of that situation than of the positive situation, if that made any sense. The older women believe they are correct in believing that women's purpose is to suffer, and the younger women are not buying that anymore. These older ladies would go to the extra mile to backtalk and spread rumors to hurt these young women, to shame them into submission to their beliefs. They sound evil, right? Their cult needs fresh flock. Drink that bitter juice, then you can be free from judgment by other women, because now you understand, to be a woman in this world, you need to suffer. It is so weird, this cult-like behavior, just weird. Going back to daughters and mothers fighting, I want to clarify that not all mothers and daughters relationship are bad. Some have healthy dynamic. It started young, then it was maintained, developed, and nurtured. The mother has healed and was happy when they had a child. Their emotional intelligence was at the highest level. Not all women have a healthy relationship with their mothers. I remember a story I heard on the radio of a mother who slept with her daughter's husband while she was staying with them to help take care of their newborn child. While the mother was staying with them to help them and cook and help clean up, she felt, well, why not take what I deserve from her husband? She felt entitled to sexual favors from her daughter's husband because she was doing so much work. Like, what was the point of you offering to come over and help your daughter, who was exhausted from childbirth and staying up at night, could not cook and could not clean because she was exhausted? And the husband, of course, didn't really want to do anything. So he was a shit husband. Honestly, when he came on the radio, I think the next day to defend himself, he sounded like a prick. He did not care about her. He did not care about his daughter. He was just there. He was all pissed off. So her husband was the perfect candidate for the mother to sleep with while her daughter was passed out from exhaustion in the bedroom. And the child was finally asleep, so she felt comfortable enough and safe enough to finally go to bed. This woman's in the next room in the broad daylight banging her daughter's husband. And I thought to myself, that is the most craziest thing I have ever heard in my entire life, because you hear stories on a daily basis of women stealing men from other women and how devastated that woman was to lose their husband or boyfriend. You hear about cheating every single day. And then these women just feel, well, since I'm doing majority of the work, actually you weren't. You might have been picking up and maybe cooking, but why is your daughter still so exhausted unless you really weren't? You were just there trying to make sure she stayed exhausted so you can keep banging her useless husband. And when all of that came forward, you know, she was ready to just kind of leave the relationship and wanted nothing to do with her mother anymore. And so she was hoping that the husband will now fix the situation and tell the daughter that he is now in love with the mother. And so he did. He proceeded to say that he didn't want her and his daughter anymore, and that he wanted to be with her mom instead. So she should just stay in the house and shut up and let them continue enjoying themselves. But instead, she said no. She grabbed her shit and she was trying to leave. He begged her to come back, saying that he'll stop messing with her mom. And he was saying all of this on the radio. I was shocked. He was so courageous. So he finally got her back, which in my mind, I was like, why the hell would you go back? So she went back and he was like, okay, you need to just forgive me already so we can go back to the way things were. And I was like, the way things were, where's the mom? Because the way things were is that he was able to sleep with the mother and he enjoyed sleeping with the mother. He didn't even care about his wife or sleeping with her or taking care of his child. So where was this going? Anywho, the radio station got shut down and that story could no longer, go on. So I don't know how that story actually had ended. But, the last time I heard her on the radio station was her crying her eyes out because he wasn't really sorry. And the way he was talking, it was like, I already apologized. Now, why can't you just shut up and just forgive me already? I'm not sleeping with your mom right now. She ran away out of shame because I guess the whole community terrorized her and like threw junk at her and said she was a garbage mother. So now she's in hiding. And he was clearly pissed off about that because his vagina just left. His free vagina just left. And her father was there because the mother is still married. Mother is still married. And she had to go hiding. And the father had to now try to figure out if he should protect his wife or not after what she did to his daughter, their daughter together. It was just crazy. But I wish I knew the rest of the story. But the guy sounded like a complete asshole. He did not care about her. He did not care about his daughter. They could get lost for all he cared. But because his reputation was being affected and he was looking like an asshole, he needed her to come back and say that she forgave him to save his reputation. He could care less if she decides to leave later on. But then once he lost the mom, free vagina, now he's upset because now he has had to sacrifice to be with his wife and daughter, baby daughter. Now he's upset. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But I am sure that some of you have heard similar stories such as this. It doesn't matter where in the world you live, but I'm sure you have heard similar stories to this and can say that you know a neighbor, you have a family member that have been through this situation where the mother was just not a good mother. And you can understand why the daughter and the mother were always fighting. There are a lot of situations where mothers are jealous of their daughters and want what they have. They feel entitled to what their daughter has or want to be their daughter or want the jealousy and the envy. Doesn't matter your relationship with certain women. They can still feel that way about someone that is their own daughter. And mind you, I have heard stories of daughters who have gone out of their way to steal their mother's new boyfriend after their fathers have died or their fathers have moved on. And these men have no problem kicking the girl to the curb for a younger version of her, and they live happily ever after. So the women versus women it's on a different level. If you can do that to your mother or your mother can do that to you, there's a deeper issue within society that needs to be fixed. This is a problem. To have no loyalty to yourself, no respect of yourself or others is just sick and it's disgusting. I am sure that I will dedicate an episode to talking about toxic parents, especially the ones who believe they have the right to your life, your friends, and even enjoy your intimate partners to the fullest and access them whenever they want. Stay tuned for that future podcast episode. But for now, I just wanted people to understand when I say women against women, it's not just about the workplace. It's even in real life. It's even sometimes in your family. And it's sick and disgusting how women would do so much against another woman, even a child. Even a child, they would do that too, just so they can live up to that male standard, or at least to get this sick and disgusting man that they're trying to impress by harming someone that they should take care of, someone that they should love. People always say, I'm a girl's girl, but there's so many girls out there that aren't girls. There are a lot of women that love to say, I'm all about women empowerment, but they're really not. Based on the way that they behave towards other women, based on the way that they behave towards women in their own family, it tells you that they were not about women empowerment, and their job is to deteriorate all of that. What is their purpose? I can't tell you, because it makes no sense to me why you would claim to be a person that empowers other women and continue to sabotage that process of empowerment. The goal is to derail all of this. It doesn't make any sense to me. But as the audience, you might have an answer to that question. And if you do, definitely come on the social media page. Let me know what you think, and we can go from there. So that concludes this podcast episode. I hope you enjoy this conversation, and I hope you really check your behavior. If you're a woman and you're listening to this podcast episode, please check your behavior. Ask yourself, are you a girl's girl? Are you truly for women empowerment? Are you doing everything that you have been taught over centuries to believe about other women and yourself? Are you portraying that and pushing that to sabotage other women so that you could feel that you are on top? Thank you for supporting the Orchid Blooms podcast. Please subscribe, follow, rate, and leave a review on the podcast or the episode that you like. We also have social media pages to subscribe or follow: Orchid Blooms YouTube channel, The Ambitious Obsession Network on Facebook, at The Ambitious Obs on Twitter, at The Ambitious Net on Instagram. Don't forget to share your favorite podcast episode with your family and your friends, and I hope you have a splendid day.